highest sentence, then you just hear some of the bad things. I mean, there are checks and balances. I do not want to see a czar or some czar appointed and all of a sudden we lose control. Checks and balances are from the election process, you know, and putting good conservative people in those offices who are actually know who their bosses are. That's how your checks and balances, that's where it starts. And you as McFan and many organizations like yourself at 912 and other organizations are doing a wonderful job. These organizations decided, you as individuals came out on a winter morning, and it didn't have to get out on Saturday morning, you had other things, but you've taken your time to say, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to stop this kind of nonsense. I am going to get behind a candidate who has my conservative values, who will not play the power game, will not play the game of I am going to go down there. And when you go to Columbus or you go into Washington, you got to realize the lobbying community and groups out there want a piece of you. And you know, that's another reason why I come home at night. But the thing about it is, they got to remember the people who they really represent. And we've had through the years a lot of members down here who forgot that. And that's why I started out with the recruitment. Bill Batchelor started with conservatives who believe that they know who they work for. That's where the change is starting to happen. I see that happening in Washington. You don't change something overnight. You want to, but it is happening. And I want to let you know that it is truly happening. You're seeing that, and you will see that by the representation of the Ohio House in Columbus. I mean, the proof's in the pudding here. We have an opportunity to prove to you that it can get done. Government can work, as has been drawn up by the Constitution. We have to always remember where we start at the basis of our Constitution.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The $8 billion of federal stimulus money that came in, when it was placed in the budget last year, was it earmarked for certain projects, number one, or was it commingled with all the other funds? Could you start by cutting out those things that were paid for by that?
Good question. I sat on Finance Committee 2 years ago and voted against accepting any of those federal dollars. What the governor had proposed and what he did with the Ohio House leadership in the Democrat leadership, they basically supplanted GRF dollars and used those dollars to go to unions. So what he did, he used federal dollars and pulled those federal dollars down and took those federal dollars and put them in like Department of Job and Family Services and other programs and what he did, he grabbed those general fund dollars and then used those general fund dollars to help some union programs. So what we're going to have to do is, we're going to have to go through the budget and see, okay, well, these are unions, these are dollars we can bring back in and cut back government. And a lot of these programs, when they voted to accept the House Bill 1, basically there was a lot of strings attached for the federal government. I don't call them strings, I call them ropes around our necks. And I've been stating that from the day I was able to see those federal dollars. And that's where I think we're going to be able to cut back on that, Homer. We're going to be able to pull back. We're just starting the tip of finding dollars in that budget that they have proposed. I just found $100 million that they hid under the Ohio Board of Regents. I mean, $100 million. So you start looking and searching and looking at the budget and saying, okay, it's basically, they're moving the dollars around the executive branch, the governor. And it's our opportunity now to pull these dollars back and tell these organizations, entities who receive federal dollars, you're not going to get those federal dollars. You're not going to get state general fund dollars. I asked this question, why did Bill Batchelor 2 years ago put a freshman like me on Finance Committee? And because I wasn't afraid to ask the questions. Because and so I was able to walk in there as a state representative of the Finance Committee and ask, why are we doing these things? You got to look at this thing, and I look at this approach. Are we as a Ohio House members, are we by the Constitution required to do these things? If we're not required to do these things, why are we doing these things? We have to look closely at this and say, I asked this one gentleman from one of the inner cities, and he was asking, and he received by the Democrat leadership close to $20 million in organization. And I asked, how long has this organization been doing this plan? Since 1967. And they've been funded every year for every 2-year cycle. And still they don't know what they want to do. They've just been funded in the process of being funded in a program. Those programs are going to be scrutinized, and that's where you're going to see the press call us everything. Because we're going to make them accountable. You've asked us as legislators to be accountable, and we're going to follow that process, like on Finance Committee. Greatest opportunity we have, and you need to follow is Finance Committee and the state budget. And where we're going to be at as the legislators, and we're asking, how do we pull back government? We're going to pull back government. But we are going to be scrutinized. The 3 C's, the major newspapers, even national papers are going to scrutinize the Republican Party and which direction we're going by pulling back government. And I expect the president to be back in Ohio many times to scrutinize ourselves. We have a meeting on Monday, and the new speaker, Boehner, is coming down, is meeting with us because he knows that it all starts at the state level too. So it's going to be a challenge, yes ma'am.
Is there any way for, once we find these federal dollars and refuse them, is there any way even collectively among conservative states, we have any power to mandate that it go back to the people and off the debt, rather than giving Obama's group somewhere else to give it to?
Actually, that's a question I was going to ask Speaker Boehner when he comes in on Monday, because we are going to refuse quite a few of those dollars. Unfortunately, some of the liberal states grab.
Well, how do we make sure, even collectively with the strength of the new conservative governors in states, how can we help make that happen? Or
it's going to be a difficult task because you can still have a liberal federal government and the executive side and the Senate side. And when those dollars are handed out, they don't want to see those dollars back. They want to spend. Until the mindset's changed that spending is not a good thing. I mean, they're going to try. These senators and congressmen are still going to want to bring their dollars back into the communities they represent. They're going to say, well, I just took Ohio's dollars. And pat me on the back because I took Ohio's dollars. So we change that mindset in Washington, where we have an issue. And I think people are hearing the voice of many conservative groups saying, let's stop our spending. But it's going to be a huge task in Washington. And I talked to Congressman Renacci and Gibbs about all these issues, and until we fully change the Senate.
Way to write it up where you maintain strings for where it goes?
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like there should be some global smart way, state to state, to tie that up.
The problem is we have governors and elected officials, for instance, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Governor Schwarzenegger, first thing when he heard Ohio wasn't going to go after take the $400 million, he brought his bag. He said, give me. And that's a problem you have, and certain people are going to say, well, I just got $400 million from Ohio. Pat me on the back with local press in California. That's the problem you're going to have until you really.
But I'm reading all these things about the power, the collective power of our new conservative governors and states, and can't we do something visionary to
say no.
Lock down the mandate that comes right off the debt because it's the people's money and we didn't have it to begin with? And doesn't that seem like something that?
It's a good idea, a good concept of letting Washington know where the governors are.
We're giving it back, but to this.
Yeah. But it will never, the process won't work if it takes one governor from one state, say, oh, don't worry, I like strings attached, I'll take it. And they're not unified. We may have 35 governors who strongly believe in our ideas, but it's those other ones who would say, I'm going to take $30. That's a problem we have.
Well, if our 35 mandate that goes off the debt, if we didn't have the money to begin with anyway,
Yeah.
that's my vision.
Well, we're going to encourage that. I mean, we want to send the dollars back for the, you know, the.
Let's send him all his signs too.
Well, you know, maybe we need to.
Let's send him his signs.
Maybe in the finance committee, we dictate where those dollars go back to. We don't want to
Well,
spend.
seriously.
Yeah, maybe
Like,
something.
be a big leader.
We can
Everyone
do
go,
an
"Ooh,
amendment."
look what Ohio did.
Maybe we could do an amendment to the saying that we refuse. but we want to
Exactly.
spend.
You
I'll
can
look
call it
into that.
McFanagement.
Okay. Yeah.
Amy, you mentioned about transparency and evening hearings. How do you find out what's on the agenda? So the convention comes out, and listen to lots of hearings. How do we find out?
The Ohio House of Representatives, Bill Batchelder, there's a website, Ohio House of Representatives, and you just Google that, and you click on this committee hearings. Just click on committees, and you'll see the hearing, you'll see the schedule of the hearings. Then and then it'll click on what bills are being heard at that time. If it's finance, it'll be the House Bill 1. If it's a puppy mill bill, it might be, you know, whatever the committee is signing that bill. But you have an opportunity in that process to understand how your government is working and understand, you know, and you're allowed to, any chairman will be able to recognize you if you want to testify on a certain issue, just like you just stated.
You know, I've been doing that on that webpage, and I actually did it, I think even yesterday, and it just keeps saying nothing scheduled yet, or something like
It
that.
isn't, because we're still waiting on the committee appointments.
Because I have been checking it on a daily basis.
As soon as Bill's going to, Speaker Batchelder, I gotta keep on saying Speaker Batchelder, we'll announce on Tuesday all the committee assignments and appointments. That's when all these 107 bills start the process of going through the committees. They will be assigned to whatever the bill is designed to, with the state government, finance, agriculture, natural resources. The bills will be handed off to then the start of the process of the introduction of the sponsor of the bill, and then the hearings. So the process you'll be able to click on that site right directly, and you'll be able to find out and know what we're doing on a daily basis. Yes, sir.
One way to find out where the money is going. Shouldn't we audit the state?
Excuse me?
Couldn't we audit the state, find out where all that money's been going?
Actually, questions about the auditing the federal dollars in the state of Ohio?
Yeah.
What we're looking at doing is you'll see some bills on performance audits. Seth Morgan's old bills that actually we had asked to checks and balances, and we will be audited. We will be moving. I actually spoke to the next auditor state, and told them that we are going to be pushing that on the Ohio House side. So good question on that. We feel that those dollars were directed to certain other areas, and we want to be able to justify. You know, I don't feel, and I guarantee you don't feel that those dollars were spent. You know, first we shouldn't have it, but then they used them for union programs. One of the things I do, and I do this, and I mean this, I give out my personal cell phone number. Why? Because I work for you first. And I'm going to give that out, and I'm going to give it out, and I do answer my phone. And please feel free to call me. And if you don't get it now, you can get it anytime from anyone in the district. And I even publicize my cell phone. Because I get a few 2:30 in the morning crank calls. But the process has to change here. And I had recommended this to all the freshmen coming in this year. Give your cell phone out. It stops the red tape in the process. If we adhere to the people who we represent, and you feel comfortable with calling a representative right there when you have an issue, what better form of government by being able to call your representative right away? So I'm going to give my cell phone number out, and please feel free to call me if you hear anything, or you have an idea that we want ideas and common sense ideas of what we need. So my cell phone number is 330-231-8255. 331-6275. And I recommend using that cell phone and pass it on if you need to. You know, it's my personal cell phone number. I refuse having the state cell phone. I have my own because I feel I'm responsible to you and you only. So please feel free to call anytime. And thank you again for allowing me to speak at McMahon and the opportunity to give you a little bit of update in Columbus. And hopefully in the near future I'll be able to do this and when we pull government back. Thank you. 330-231-6275. And call right now to ring.
Thank you, Dave. I'll tell you, we appreciate your substituting in for us while we're not having a senator in there. I can't think of a better person to do that. And I think we're now the best informed people in Medina County as to what's going on in Columbus. I'm glad, I'm really pleased with what I'm hearing. We have a few announcements. Lisa, did you want to go ahead with those?
Hi. Thank you everybody for coming today. We appreciate your participation. You may remember, some of you that came last month, we had Ray Sanderbeck come and speak about the Teen Drivers Education Safety Act. We do have the petitions here, and if anyone is interested in circulating, please pick an extra one up and you'll get some signatures from neighbors, let them know that they're aware of what's going on. And also, to follow through, if there's one person that would like to volunteer to work with Ray, keep us updated as to how it's going and how we can continue to help. That would be a big help. Also, I'd like to let you know that this month is where's my notes there? Okay, it's National Self-Defense Month. And I just want to let you know that no matter where you are now, whether you've ever trained in anything, or maybe you've recently got your concealed carry license or whatever, it's a good time to take it to maybe one more step up. I just want to let you know that our dojo, I take karate, Cody, and all the children in our family take it. This month, if you want to join us for a class, you can join any class for free. Any age from 5 years old up to whatever we have here is fine. There's all sorts of different things. They have Tai Chi. There's also classes for handicapped, brain trauma, injuries, all sorts of things just at our dojo, and that's right at Fenton 42. If there's a group of people that would like to join us and maybe make a trip to one of Ron's, I can't tell you how much fun Cody and I had at that class. It was a 3-hour class and I enjoyed every minute of it. It's a lot of fun. Check out the table on your way out. There's a lot of cards and information, Ron's classes, and also some of the local areas here. And last but not least, volunteer at our office. If any of you can give us 2 hours a week maybe, I can't tell you how much that would help. There's so many different things that we can do. Every day we do everything we can with what we've got and who we've got. And the more the merrier. We can come up with our own new ideas. We're always thinking of ways to increase membership, to bring more people in. We can help people in other parts of the state grow their memberships in their counties. We have lots of resources, and it's a lot of fun being a piece of the action. And that's it. Thank you.
Every meeting I keep making a mental note to mention that Chris Duran has some of her material all over the table, and I almost always forget. But Chris does have some of her shirts over there, and I'm probably going to get myself one of them. Hi, Chris.
Now that I've moved and I'm expanding, I'm going to be doing mugs and tiles, all kinds of other free stuff too.
Huh.
No Actimites challenge.
Great.
I'm even taking in sewing.
You're even thinking in sewing, okay. Yeah, Norm?
Have a couple words from Matt North.
Actually, I was gonna let Matt come up here and talk for a couple minutes if he wants to.
Just a few.
Yeah. Yeah, we're running a little long, but, you know, he made the trip here and we got a lot of people plugging. But before we get started, Nancy, would you make sure to get that list to me today so I can push it out to people, the contacts?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
It'll just be quick, and I'll tell you, I appreciate you even asking. On the way up here, I was actually thinking about the fact that I had a conversation with a couple of you the other night, and you were showing me the pictures of all of you gathered together on the streets of Washington for the 9/12 march. And as I'm coming here, I'm mindful of the fact that next Sunday, I believe next Sunday, is Sanctity of Human Life Sunday. Is it next Sunday? Okay, it's happening this month, so it's coming up. But it's, all of us should be aware that it's Sanctity of Human Life Month, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But as I'm driving here, I'm actually thinking about your picture and all those people standing there in front of Abraham Lincoln, in front of the big monument. And I think about how many of us this year took the time to go down for these rallies, whether it was the Restoring Honor rally or whether it's a 9/12 rally, I guess it was last year, and how many of us walked those cold marble stairs, those steep stairs up to the foot of Abraham Lincoln. And when we stood there, you couldn't help but be humbled by the great servant of God and one of America's greatest presidents. Most everyone in here, Democrat, Republican, or like, would agree he was a very wise man. And so if you take a moment as you picture yourself standing there at his feet, and you turn to your right, and over here on the wall, what do you read? But his second inaugural address. You remember that one was happening in the middle of the Civil War. We didn't know what the outcome would be, but we knew that hundreds of thousands of lives were already being lost, and they were all American citizens. And the thing that is most poignant to me about that speech that's there forever etched in the stone on the wall is he asked this question. He said, is the reason why this great nation, so properly conceived in freedom, is struggling so much today because a just God is requiring an American life for every drop of blood that was taken from a slave's back by his master. Obviously, at that point, many men and women, and certainly the President, Abraham Lincoln, had determined that that was this nation's great moral sin that had to be addressed in order for her to remain united and move forward. As I drive here this morning, believe it or not, I think about these things at crazy times. This is the truth. As I'm coming here this morning, what I'm thinking is, perhaps the great moral sin of our day are the 42 million young Americans who are no longer with us because a parent or parents made the choice to end their life. You know, Abraham Lincoln didn't answer the question. He just challenged the American people to think about it. Could this be the price that a just God requires for our act of disobedience? I guess today, as we gather, and we think of sanctity of human life, maybe we should once again ask that question. Is the economic turmoil and the confusion that seems to plague every level of government, whether it be Washington, the state, and in many instances our local government, are many of these issues simply because this is the price you pay to rebel against a just and righteous God? It's a big thought to end this morning, but I appreciate you giving me the time to ask the question.
Thank you, Matt. I'm reminded that on the announcements, there is a March for Life in Washington, D.C. this month, and if that's too far to go, there's also one in Cleveland. Okay, do we have any final?
Eleanor.
Yes, Eleanor?
I don't know of all the groups that may be going, but I do know that the Catholic Church in Medina has a bus on the 23rd that is going in, and I think it leaves Sunday night and will be back Tuesday morning.
Okay, that's to Washington, right?
to Washington, and I think it was $60. I don't know how many buses or anything, but I suppose if they get more than one, they can always get more.
All right.
I just want to remind everybody about the veterans. I dropped stuff off a week before Christmas, and 2 of the veterans that are up in Brecksville were coming to the volunteer area, and they said to me, "Do you have chocolate in there?" And I did. I had phone cards, I had magazines, I had everything but chocolate. So if anybody has it in their heart for the next meeting, if you just bring a bag of chocolate, not the big bars, the little bars, because they can only have 2 a day, and they're restricted. But these guys fought for us, and they're up there in those surroundings. I think they're over in a bag of chocolate.
Chocolate for veterans. Anything else? Going once, going twice?
Hey, I just wanted to say, I got a political scientist friend, I think that's right, we always have a problem calling those guys scientists, but there's a political science major, in fact, his friend is Mr. Batchelder's aide, so I'm always, when I'm down, we were at Thanksgiving and then New Year's at their house. But anyway, this friend of mine, I won't mention his name, and I'm sure all you guys know this, but a couple of years ago when Bo Cherry was put in office, he told me, I said, you know, because Bo Cherry, he's out of office